going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Chatting in the City podcast. Your favorite podcast, or your favorite other favorite podcast, I don't even know. But yeah, man, we're back, and I have another special guest here with me. Graphic designer, graphic artist extraordinaire, the man who actually designed the pod cover for this. Andy, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I mean, I thought, we couldn't go any longer without getting on the person who actually designed the cover art for this. I've gotten some compliments on it. People really liked it, so I was like, yo, we got to get the guy who made it on here to
It's
talk
amazing.
about that and some more things.
It's amazing.
So how you been?
I can't believe that we're halfway in the year already. It's already June and it flew by. I'd say I'm pretty good. I'm happy to see how things are progressing with COVID. There's improvements, so that's keeping me and my family in good state. So it's not
It's
bad.
good times, man. I mean, Ottawa opened up yesterday. Today's Saturday. Oh, it
Yeah.
opened up yesterday, so people were out here just going wild, doing bits. I was downtown today, and
Yeah.
at least people are still wearing their masks. They're kind of staying distance in the parks and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to bring you on here to ask you. One of the things I wanted to ask was how you started doing art, why you got into it, and why you're drawn to the certain types of art that you're drawn to. If people don't know you, can you sort of describe your style and how you got into that style?
Okay. So it started when, just watching Dragon Ball Z and as a kid, and I was always the kid that would draw, Goku and Vegeta
Mm.
during Super Saiyan, and I was just like do it on my breaks at school, and also as soon as I get home, I was just do that. And so I was always drawn to specifically anime and comic books, and then just the way that they could tell a story, and also the way that they would be exaggerated in their lines, in the emotions, and just everything. But it was still like it was just so expressive, I just loved everything about it. And so the reason why I started really getting into it was because I followed this illustrator on Instagram back in 2015, and her name is Hose, but she stopped she's less active now.
Mm.
But just the way that she portrayed rappers and musicians was just so infused with color and just crazy, like I don't know, just something. There was just something there. And back then, I was actually playing with Photoshop, and I was just doing like image edits. That's where I was at that moment in life. I was just playing with photo edits, and when I saw her art, shifted completely. I went back to myself as a kid, and I was just like, I want to really merge music, and I want to merge manga and comic books. And music is so important to me because as it is to us all, it's something that helps us escape.
Mm.
It's imbued with so much feelings and like and vibes, and just like it's literally life-saving. And I wanted to portray rappers and musicians as heroes, right? So it was like, okay, like I'm not gonna redraw Goku anymore. I'm not gonna redraw Naruto anymore. It's done. It's like there's nothing. I want to put something fresh on top of that. So now I wanted to merge. I wanted to be like, okay, what if Drake, or what if Young Thug were in a comic book, and they were the heroes of their own comic book, and they had their own stories, their own tales, and just that marriage opened up to me a lot of possibilities, a lot of styles to play with. And so my style at first was very, I would say, just almost like a lot of like details, and almost you call it vector, because it was just a lot of like colors all on top of each other,
Mm.
just to convey depth. And over time, I really came into my own, and I really turned it into like a hybrid between manga art and comic book style. So there's lots of like, halftones and dots and inking, and just everything that you'll see in a DC comic book. and what you will see in an anime, sorry, in a manga is what you will see in my art. So it depends on the artist, and I always feel like every artist is almost sort of like into two different um, sections, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't think, like to me, when I think of J. Cole is immediately a comic book hero. But some rappers love anime. So if I were to do a rapper, I would have to follow that, that feeling. So that's why I like to always have those two styles handy: manga art style and then comic book art style.
Nice, nice. Actually, I'm rocking a little bit of some of the work that you've done. I got that My Hot Girl Academia. You see
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Volume 1. You see that? You see Meg Thee Stallion looking flames. All right.
That was such a
That's
fun piece to work on. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I still love it to this day. I think it's one of the shirts that I wear the most. And of course, in the background, we got that. This is America. Don't catch you
Yeah.
slipping.
I like the way you hung it. Yeah.
I had to put it sideways because there isn't enough room. So I had to put it, yeah,
Okay.
sideways. And yeah,
It
I mean, it
works
came
really
out
well.
nice. It does
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Um, and okay, so that's interesting. You wanted to sort of not keep portraying, the same things. You wanted to redraw Goku, so you wanted to bring in something a little bit different.
Mm.
So talk to me about how you went from essentially from the manga to music and then manga and film, manga and comics, right? To kind of
Mhm.
build those things together. Because one of your latest pieces that I've seen, it's actually really dope, is Omni Man, right?
Mhm.
From Invincible.
Yeah.
And that is so sick.
Yeah. Thank you. I came to a point where I did a lot of pieces back in 2016, 2017. And back then, what I would just do, it was just like, find a picture of an artist and draw it in my style. Amazing. It worked well. It was great. But I felt like I could do something more. I wanted to just be more creative. I wanted to just have more twists onto the work. And so I wanted to see what there was in out there in terms of culture and put my own twist and take on it. And so I started to just really dig through movie posters and album covers and TV show posters. I love looking at posters. I spend days looking at just like posters and stuff, and and just looking at like how they play with fonts and how they play with color and just everything and poses. And as I'm looking at these posters and stuff, I'm like, wait, like I see ways that I can play with, and then that's just really how it started. So I really wanted to just have something that you could identify with, but then there's something new to it, something familiar but
Mm,
also foreign. So like you said, Omni Man and DMX, it was just like a click. Because DMX, passed 2 weeks before I dropped that piece,
mm,
and the artwork, the cover was everywhere online, and Invincible was also airing. As I saw the cover, I was just like, I just thought of Omni Man. It's just instant. Sometimes it's instant. Sometimes I have to really dig to really have these connections emerge. But the result, all the same, is so satisfying because it comes full circle. It's just a way to like elevate just something so much more. It's just really, really cool. And when it works, it's incredible. Sometimes it doesn't work.
mm,
Sometimes it doesn't work, and I kind of hide it. I don't show it to anyone. Or I do show it sometimes. You see my Instagram. Sometimes I come out and I say, hey, this is what I've been working on. Didn't work, but you move. But just having these connections is incredible, and I think it's beautiful that something that was designed maybe years ago, decades ago, finds new purpose and new life because you thought of a way to bring it closer to something that's to this day.
mm.
And it's like they didn't know that would happen. They didn't know. Of course, they don't. The creators don't necessarily know that I did that. Some of them do because I tagged them and everything. But it's just like when you put your work out there, you see what it does. It influences so much more after that. Yeah.
That's facts. That's facts. And for the Omni Man piece, actually, there's so much detail on that. Obviously, there's the text from the DMX album on top of that, but also like looking at his eyes, like the red in his eyes. Which of
Cut
course,
that.
if you've seen the series, you kind of know where that's coming from. I don't want to,
Yeah,
spoil. I hate spoiling stuff. So if you haven't seen the series, I don't want to say nothing.
yeah,
Um, but that's kind of at least the detail that I see in your work, which I really appreciate. And for like I was joking talk about this one, My High Girl Academia, but obviously people who know My Hero Academia will kind of pick up on that right away. And the other piece that This Is America, you kind of see the obviously Childish Gambino, This Is America, The Watchmen,
yeah,
obviously the eyes looking all wild, watching, that kind of thing. So
yeah,
all these little themes that if you really pay attention that you can focus on and you can actually pick out and see.
yeah.
And something that you mentioned is that you can actually look at movie posters or album covers for like hours. And obviously it's like for most people like myself, I'm not gonna like spend that much time looking at it. I just see it, I'm like, oh yeah, oh, that's pretty cool. I just move on, right? But at least for you, because like the work that goes into it, you can kind of see every little piece, the layering of the colors, all this other stuff,
Yeah.
which most people don't see.
Yeah. Yeah, I have this saying where it's like, first learn different things, then learn how to do things differently. So it's like I have to look at everything. I have to do my homework. I have to see all that's out there.
Mm,
I gotta, as an artist, that's my job. I have to just know how like the extent of color, the extent of line art, the extent of any possible way to take this further. I have to know about it. And so I'm on my phone, I'm on Pinterest, I'm watching TV, but I'm on Pinterest, I'm just scrolling. I'm on
mm,
Tumblr, I'm just scrolling. I'm on Instagram, I'm just scrolling. I have to know because it's just so because and then subliminally I digest it, and then when I work on something, let's say during next day or that very same night, a part of that is with me.
mm,
Just off of that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that's just how it keeps on going. It keeps on going. And like I said, when you put your work out there, you don't know what the strength of it. And all these creators, the other one that just keeps posting online. And same for me when I post online. There's people that reach out to me and say your work, the people that find me on Pinterest the way I follow the people. So it's the same way that it's like a wave, and you just have to follow it and just keep getting better and improving. Yeah.
it's all circular. Do you
Yeah.
see your style evolving into something new? Like, I mean, like, I guess the question is, looking back at how you started, sort of going from comic books, and that sort of style, do you see your style evolving over time from like this point to something? Like, do you find yourself leaning towards something new from where you are now?
Where I am now, I would say yes. And I was always obsessed with creating my own style back in the day, years ago. I just wanted to literally, off the bat, create my own style. And you don't, and it's like you don't do that. You have to really figure that out.
Mm,
But I was just obsessed with that back then because I wanted to just set myself apart from everybody else. But then it was just like, it's okay, just learn everything. And then the more you know, the more you do differently. And so like I said before, my work was had just way more depth. If you look at my earlier work, it was just so much color. But then when you watch anime, it's like just two colors really. It's like, there's the
mm,
skin and there's like the shadow. But they found ways to make that so like well detailed. I mean, it's so detailed in the way that they have those little tricks that I've observed more and more, and I'm starting to bring that to my work. And the same token, when you read a comic book, there's not there's not always so many details, but they always find ways again with dots, with
mm,
inking to really make the work just more complex. So yeah, so with this little tools and assets, there's less I'd say the work just comes out a bit cleaner, and that's where I am right now. Yeah,
yeah, in that sense, it's not as busy, not as
exactly. It's not as busy. That's the word. It's not as busy, and and the fact that you can make that happen is amazing. Because I was watching Attack on Titan or
mm,
Jujutsu Kaisen. It's honestly beautiful. It's like it's just two three colors, but it's like there's life into it, right? And it's like, okay, how do I do that? How do I say less? I mean, say more with less. Do you know what I mean? Visually, right? Yeah, right. It's like, because if I can do that, that's awesome. That's a challenge for me. right? Because back then it was like so much more colors. I want to do the same kind of impact with less because it's a challenge and it's just I just find it really interesting and really cool. So that's where I am right now.
When you said that, I just thought of like maybe at one point you'll get to some years from now, you'll get to a point where it's just you're gonna put out a piece of art where it's just a dot in the middle.
And people do that and it works just because, it's just how you do it. It's just, it's just how you do it,
Like, that's hilarious. All right. I hate to put you on the spot, but you mentioned Attack on Titan briefly. Top 5 animes for you right now.
Oh, like that.
In no particular order. I don't want
Okay,
you to be,
no order?
yeah,
Okay,
no
okay,
particular order. Yeah, so
okay,
less pressure.
okay. Attack on Titan,
Uh-huh.
Food Wars,
Okay.
okay. And if you want, I can explain each, but I'll just say it right now. Okay, so Attack on Titan, Food Wars. Mine's going blank right now. I would say Association as Classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's 3. There's also One Piece. So far is really amazing. Okay, and then the last one I'll probably say would be oh man, My Hero Academia. Yeah, there's there's more. I just can't think right now. But those ones are just like they're literally like in my top 5, top 10. Yeah, I just can't think of any ones right now. And yeah, but in terms of storytelling, in terms of art style, in terms of meanings and symbolism, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay, I respect that. I mean, like I'm not really deep into the anime world, but at least I've heard the ones that you mentioned. I've heard of them, and I think I've seen some of them, not all of them. So I
okay,
can't really be like, oh yeah, you shouldn't have picked that one or whatever, whatever.
yeah,
Sure, the people who'll be listening will be like, oh, they have
yeah,
more to say. But
yeah,
okay, I respect that. Also, like no particular order, so you can't really. I don't want to put you on the spot because it's too hard. It's like somebody asking you what are your top 5 films ever. It's like
oh, that's hard.
you can't answer that question. It's impossible.
Side note, I have this really weird habit of like writing down my top 5s, which is funny because I
Ah,
think I can't think of anything right now. But in my phone, I have top 5 TV shows, top 5 movies, top 5 series. Because it's funny because like earlier, when I was trying to figure out my own style,
mm,
I made a list of like all the things that I loved, just to figure out okay, like what do I want to take from all this. So
mm.
yeah, so that's where this habit stemmed from, and I still do it to this day.
Hey, it's efficient if you yeah. If you, also, I guess by doing that, you can sort of figure out how those things are in your art subliminal. Like you were talking about subliminal earlier,
Yeah.
you're kind of scrolling through things, and like when you start creating, they're kind of with you, and they sort of that style is imbued in your art almost subconsciously,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
In that sense, you can actually, if you're listing your favorite things, you can figure out, okay, I like this one, and I
yeah,
can see that in my art,
yeah,
right? Or the
yeah,
other way around, I like this one, I'm gonna try to put some of that in my art,
yeah.
so you can really track those threads. Wow, that's pretty cool. I also wanted to ask you about when you found out that Timothée Chalamet was wearing your blonde shirt. I actually see in the background the poster, but how did you
Mhm.
find out that he was rocking that, and how did you react?
So I was at work, right? And I go on my break, and my phone is full of notifications. I'm talking like 40, and I'm like, what's happening? I know something happened. I have to
Right.
figure out what it is.
Uh,
And so, and then, and before I go on Instagram, because I'm freaked out. So I'm like, okay. Before I go on Instagram, I see someone texts me, and it's my friend, and she's like, "Congrats!" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's just like on Instagram. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Timothée Chalamet." That's what she said. She just said his name, and I was like, "What just happened?" I
right.
go on Instagram, and I see it, and it's insane. It's surreal. I'm on my break, and I'm just like losing my mind because that shirt, that design that you see right there
Mm,
from 2016,
yeah.
and that happened in 2020. That's like 4 years later, and it's like I didn't know this would happen. I didn't know this would ever happen, and it's like the that path that the art made to come to that point
Mm,
is insane. And it was also wild because everyone was asking where the shirt was from, and my friends were commenting. They were like, "Oh, it's from AKARTS." So they literally directed everyone towards my page because he didn't tag me. He bought the shirt, he loved it, he wore it, or maybe he was gifted the shirt by some other source, but he didn't know that my page. But he loved the art, he wore it, and so everyone was like, "Yo, like where is it from?" On Reddit, on Twitter, on everywhere for those 24 to 48 hours, it was for things that were all Frank Ocean and Timothée Chalamet was about that shirt. And my friends and I did everything in our power to make sure that people knew it was me. And it actually worked super well. Like now if you type up the shirt, I come up on Google on the first page. And it's insane because I really also discovered how many people use my work, but it was as their own. Because people were like, "Oh, like you can buy this shirt here," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, that's a little like whoa,
So we're talking
slow
about
down.
like super quick. I was like, "That's insane, right?" So that also like that was interesting discovery, and I've been more hands-on on that in that aspect, just making sure that there isn't too many duplicates out there. But yeah, it was just like just surreal, and I'm super grateful, and it really gave me confidence because sometimes you do the work and the work is fun, the work is amazing, and you want to see progress in terms of like scope and just everything else as in life, and that was just really reinforced that I'm doing the right thing, and it's there'll be more opportunities for things like this to happen, to just focus up, just do a good work, and everything will just follow. So that was super thankful for that.
Yeah, put in the work. And it kind of touches back on something you said earlier about how people, like, let's say the DMX album cover, right? When they made that, when that came out, like, they didn't know that would inspire you to make the Omni Man
Yeah,
kind of like, edit on that.
yeah,
And so going forward, maybe the Omni Man piece can inspire somebody else, or somebody can actually rock that, or, it just
yeah,
kind of, it takes time, but it
yeah.
all comes back around.
And this last year too, I did another piece with Kendrick Lamar, and it did really well on Pinterest. And twice last summer, there were these girls on TikTok that used the work in different forms. They were painting on jeans, they were painting on T-shirts, and it's so cool. So it's like if the work comes full circle. I was inspired by something, I did something, and then someone else was inspired and did something else. So it's like, go ahead, it's awesome.
It's paid forward.
Yeah,
Was that the Kung Fu Kenny piece?
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
But
I
that
always
one is
wanted to
just
ask you like about that piece because there's writing, right?
yeah,
There's Chinese, is it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you have somebody like look over that to like translate, make sure it's not, something wild, like the writing, just to make
So,
sure?
so the writing is Easter eggs in the form of like lyrics and
Right.
song titles, right? I use the translator,
Hmm.
and I double checked on the. I what I do is like I translate it and then I translate it back, and so I make sure it was thorough.
Nice.
But when I do pieces in Japanese, for example, stuff like this,
Mm.
I have a friend who lives in Japan. Uh, he teaches English, but
Hmm.
he knows Japanese, and so I have him like double check my work, and it's hilarious because I'm like, okay, can you make this like, okay, does this make sense? And he's like, yeah, and he gives me the whole like translation,
Hmm.
but it's so long, and I'm like, bro, just make it shorter. Just make it, because I say like, you know, let's say I like, okay, I go on a walk, and he's like, the man goes on a mysterious walk along the forest. I'm like, bro, it's so long. Make it shorter for me.
It fits on, it puts in all the
Yeah,
details. Like,
yeah. This is awesome, but it doesn't fit the poster. It doesn't fit the artwork, right? But yeah,
yeah,
I appreciate him being thorough.
damn, bro. And also, like, you want to go for the, at least with like pop culture things, because like I always think the way people speak is not necessarily how certain languages are written.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Oh, okay.
just like the way we speak English, it's not how you're really gonna transcribe things and write a full sentence, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
like in your friend's case, he's actually giving you the whole sentence,
Right. Exactly.
everything filled out, but you want the gist of the
Yeah.
man goes on a walk. You want that, just boiled down to its bits.
Yeah. I want it to be like a poster where it's like it screams at you. It's like, hey, this is what's happening. This is what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Damn. All right. So I've been asking a lot of the guests, what's the most positive thing that's happened to you in the past year?
Last year, I think it's the ability to, you know, still be inspired. And I don't say that lightly, because my word is very, it's funny because my work is contingent on artists dropping music.
Mm,
It really is, it's tied to, you know, drops and albums and releases. If nothing comes out, I'm kind of, out of ideas. But I'm grateful that I can think of things sometimes. I'm grateful to still be inspired. I'm thankful that there is so much, I can watch an anime and think of, what if now sometimes I go like, okay, what if this anime was an album? What if now, so it's like, so it's like before I go, usually it's like artists becoming heroes. Sometimes I go like, what if anime characters become,
artists.
artists. So it's like you just play what you can. So I'm just grateful to have ideas, to have my friends who send me ideas off of TikTok or things that they see and they think I can put my twist on it. And right now I dropping a summer collection,
Ooh.
and I spent 6 months working on it, just making sure it was really um, really well done. Just make sure that everything felt well. It's actually all up hung on my wall right now. I don't want to show it because I want to drop it. I'm gonna
No,
drop it
no,
soon.
no.
But the room right now is like an R&D room. There's like stuff all on the walls, and it's and every day I wake up, I'm just looking at it. I'm like, this is amazing because I used to literally pray for times like these.
Mm,
Right off the bat, when I started making art in 2015, 2016, and I opened my store, I all I used to do was sell canvases
right.
and canvas prints. And so I wanted to make clothing, and it was like, okay, tees and stuff. But I always wanted to do more, but I had to scale it. I had to, find the right people to work with and everything. And now it's like my room is full of dream stuff I want to work on. So I'm
It's
really
amazing.
grateful for that journey, and I always want to be out. I always want to move so fast, but it's like take your time
Mm,
because that's the best way to move quickly. Because you make less mistakes, you learn more, and yeah, that's the best way. Follow and love your story. Yeah,
slow down to move quickly. This man's dropping
always.
bars on this. Jeez. Well, I guess I want to say congratulations on the drop, even though it hasn't dropped yet. Congrats. I'll always be there to support. I want to ask you about inspiration. You mentioned that briefly, like you're grateful to have remained inspired within this last year because you said, your work is sort of contingent on music and music drops and artists putting out their work. For your process, I'm curious, do you sort of wait for like a flash of inspiration, like, oh, it's almost like an aha moment, like, oh well, I could connect this and this, that could be a new piece? Or do you sort of like, are you a very sort of methodical, just put the work in, put the work in, put the work in, put the work in, you'll get something? Or you sort of like, you wait for the inspiration and you go for it?
I don't do anything until I have inspiration.
uh,
Yeah, I don't, because it's like it's to me personally it doesn't work. I don't believe in I'm gonna carve something out of this unless if I already know what's happening and it's like, okay, there's a challenge, then I have to figure that out. But
mm,
no, I don't say and just start and then no. I either it works in two ways. Either um an artist drops music and I go like, okay, this is on my radar for the next week, 2 weeks. I'm gonna find an idea. So
mm,
help me God. I'll see if I can think of something. So help me God. So now I research everything. I look at magazine covers. I look at past photo shoots. I look at just for artists' pictures and everything for
mm,
reference. Then I look at things that are tied in with the music, lyrics, anything that I can use that I can be like, okay. So you mentioned this. Okay, what if I use this movie? What if I use this show? What if I use this pop culture event? And then eventually something's works, and then it's like it's amazing because I'm like, oh wow, that actually works. When that happens, it's like, oh my god, this is genius, and I hope it actually portrays through. If it doesn't, that sucks. But it should, and I hope it works, and I'm gonna give it my all so that it works. Okay, so that's what happens. I'd say half the time. It's literally hit and miss because it's like half the time. What happened in the other instance is that an artist drops music. I don't think of anything, and then randomly I'm sitting down, I'm watching a show or just not doing anything in particular, and I'm like, wait, just get an idea randomly. And that used to happen a lot when I was working at an art gallery. I had so much time I had so much time on my hand because it was during COVID, so there was like just less traffic in the store, and I was surrounded by art, and so all I would do, I would just pace around you know, the space, and I don't know where I'll get ideas, just like that. And you can ask, I mean, people you wouldn't, but if you ask my fellow colleagues, they'll tell you I was always writing stuff down on notes. I will run to the cache, just write stuff on notes, just because that idea hit me, and I can be forgetful, but I was just write down stuff, put it in my pocket, come home, open it, write it down, and just like and follow that lead. That would happen every day almost, just different ideas in this day. So that's what would happen, and some of the best ideas come that way when you're not looking for them. Ideally, ideally, if I could, it would just always be that way. But I don't like to force ideas. But sometimes, it's good to do your homework and honestly discover things that no one found yet or no one thought of, and that's super gratifying as well.
Nice. Don't force it. All right. So before we go, I want to give you a chance to sort of promote whether people can get some of the pieces. I actually have another piece laying around here. I have the Joker piece. I haven't put it up yet.
Oh yeah.
I'll put it up somewhere. That actually might be my favorite piece that you've done, in the sense that I don't know what your intentions were making the piece, and I'm actually curious. I'll get you to speak on that a little bit. But at least what I see is, because I know if people have seen the Joker movie, it's essentially a movie about mental health, right? And on the poster, it kind of says whatever, put on a happy face or whatever. That's kind of the thing. It's a very sort of comic book font thing.
Yeah.
And he's got the spotlight on him and everything.
Yeah.
Live with Joker. That's what it says.
Yeah.
And it's put on a happy face. And it's called sort of like, if you know the context of the film, you can sort of connect those two things, how society sort of treats people with mental health problems and, the stigma and all that stuff. So at least in that case, that's one of my favorite pieces you've done. So what was kind of what were you trying to say with that?
The idea behind that piece was to really, put light on the fact that it's a TV. That's it. It's just a TV. And I don't know, I was in that stage of where I was obsessed with, the old TV sets and how like it was like rectangular, square, but like it was like rounded inside. And he was just watching TV all the time. And he wanted to be on the other side of the screen. He wanted to be on the show. He wanted to be on TV. And it's like, and then he was on TV. And the show was called Live with, I forget, it was like Live with the host. And he took over the show because, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, it's been 2 years now, but he killed the host. I don't know, sorry, but
That's hilarious.
He killed the host. So it's like he took over the show. So it's like Live with Joker.
Yeah.
And everyone, that saw that just became like a sort of like a follower, like they just followed his lead, and it's a very terrifying moment. It's a very scary moment, and it's juxtaposed with the caption "Put on happy face." So I was just playing with those concepts. It was supposed to be very retro, very vintage, just like the TV, and just like just like he's doing this, but something terrifying is happening. Yeah.
He's coming out dancing. He's got the curtains kind of like he just popped out of the curtains and they're closing. Yeah. It's really nice. And like you said earlier, like in that piece, you're saying more with less because there isn't much really.
Yeah.
There's obviously like the old TV sort of frame.
Yeah.
You got the spotlight on him and you just got him in the thing and the curtains and boom.
And the TV frame is just black. There's not detail. It's just like, but it's a TV. I hope so at least. It's just like, but he's inside something, and it's like, oh, like, so yeah. Yeah.
All right. Where can people get some of the works and the pieces that you've done, and when can we expect the drop?
The drop will be, I'm pretty sure, I'm aiming for June 22nd to 23rd. Uh, and it's going to be a lot of colorful items, comfortable items, unique items. And it will be the work shown in really cool ways. And I worked on it with, my friends, and I'm going to go actually shoot next weekend.
Mm.
And I cannot wait to, see the closeout in the outside and just have outfits put together and props. It's gonna be really fun. Yeah.
And where can the people find the pieces? Your website, your IG, promote all that right here.
No problem. So my name is India Akangah. I go by the AKARTS. My friends call me Culture. True story. But you can find me at the AKARTS on Instagram. So that's THE Arts. Follow AKR Comics for all things related to the clothing. And my website is www.theakarts.com. And as soon as June 22nd hits, it's going to update with just so much more stuff.
Let's
So,
go. I'm excited.
yeah.
I'm super excited. Before I let you go, I guess I would be remiss to if I didn't ask you about the piece, or at least the cover art that you designed for this podcast. Um, I mean, we kind of came up with the idea for that together, but I'm curious. I guess you can sort of explain what's going on in the art there.
Sure. Yeah, as you said, we worked on it together, but it was just the fact that, like, I wanted the art to feel accessible and warm and relatable. So it was just like, if you want to reach out to somebody, someone will be there. And, this help is never too far. And the colors, even the lines, were just supposed to be just super easy on the eyes, so that as you want to also tap on it and just know more about the podcast, there is to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And this podcast is really amazing space for people to talk about themselves and their struggles and their story.
Yeah, because the idea was kind of just chatting in the city. The idea of sort of like windows, in the sense that we're looking at each other now, sort of just reaching out. So if anybody was looking at the art and curious, like, why did they go for that? Why they were like hanging out of their windows? That's so weird. Yeah, that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah. And speaking of windows, I always like love looking at windows when I'm walking, or just in general, because it's like those are portals to different worlds, right? So it's like anything could happen in those windows. And so the fact that we could bring that just a little bit closer together is by saying, chatting the city, so share your portals, share your stories is awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, brother, I don't want to keep you too long. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate the pieces. That one, the one in the background,
yes,
and the pod cover. Yeah, man, keep making them. I will support, and I can't wait for you to drop that new collection, man. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Thanks for the love. Thanks for supporting. And thanks for having me.
Hey, man, anytime. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening. Like he said, check out the pieces, check out the artwork. He's got so many pieces of music, film, comics, all that stuff. So check it out if you can. Support the man. And yeah, man, thank you for listening. Peace.